And our final movie this week was Nico's pick, that being the 2024 film Challengers. Nico, please tell us about the plot in chronological order. Thank you.
There's plot?
Alright, so Challengers is a film about Zendaya wanting to fuck these two boys, but they just want to focus on tennis. But then, you know, she's also a tennis player and unfortunately breaks her fucking leg or some shit, so she can't play tennis anymore. So she marries one of them boys and lives vicariously through him, and then cheats on him with the other boy. But then at the end of the day, they play one damn good game of tennis.
Fun fact, all of the tennis balls are CGI.
Crazy, I would have never guessed that. Rankings?
I'm sitting at an A-.
Oh my god.
Dylan, where are you sitting?
I think I gave it a C+. Yeah, I gave it a C+.
I'm giving it a flat A.
Oh my god, am I wrong here?
I'm also at a flat A.
What the fuck?
So Dylan, why didn't you like this film very much?
This movie's boring as fuck. And it makes no sense. I don't get the plot.
I can kind of understand that one, to be honest.
The plot is told in a very roundabout way, but that's actually one of my favorite things they do in this movie, where they basically ask a question or they give some of a setup in the present, and then they cut back to the past and then answer that question. And they just basically just keep doing that more and more and more as you learn more about the situation until that very final match, in which at the very end when it's almost, the ending almost kind of felt like fucking Whiplash in that sense, where you got all the context, you know the motivation for these characters, and you see what the end goal is. Like fucking Zendaya is, you know, whatever
evil whore.
The conductor is in that instance. And I think it was super fucking engaging because of that. I never felt bored. It was a very well-paced, engaging movie throughout.
Yeah, I get what they're doing there. I will say I don't like the fact that, and maybe this isn't a fact and I'm just focusing on it and therefore blowing it up in my mind, but it feels like we spend a majority of the runtime in flashbacks.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah.
The present is certainly more of like, you know, it's like it shows us like a minute or so of the present and then we cut to like 10 minutes of the past.
Yeah. I mean, the present is like the day of the match, so there's not like that much you can really fit into that time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could just rejigger the script a bit, you know, but yeah, the big pluses to me are the performances, obviously very good, very human or whatever. And it's very slickly produced.
Oh, the fucking editing in this movie and the cinematography are fucking crazy, especially during that final match when they're just really going fucking at it. That shit is amazing. I do not know how they did really a bunch of the shots. Presumably it's just fully CGI, but
yeah, probably.
I will say the one part of the production I wasn't as into was the score. Not because of like what the music is, it's just because of like they very often do this thing where it's so fucking loud, dude.
Yeah,
it's like at the same volume as the dialogue a lot of times.
Yeah, it would kind of drown out the dialogue sometimes.
I just felt like the music didn't fit the mood, to be completely honest. It felt like...
I'm like on the fence with you there.
I think it works like half the time, and then other times, you know, I think it like works because of association with what the movie is and in other contexts it's used. Like that's like the style of music they're using for the movie. So, you know, or like even in like some relationship scenarios, you can maybe argue that it doesn't make sense to use those like more high intensity songs. But I think a lot of the movie really just boils down to what Zendaya said pretty early on, that tennis or like relationships or tennis is relationships, whatever. And you kind of just have to look at the movie from that perspective in a lot of regards. So like, you know, you'd play that like high intensity shit on a relationship, but you'd also, or not a relationship, no, on the tennis court in like a close match or whatever. But the entire movie is basically presenting the whole storyline of the two guys fighting to win Zendaya in the end. As that parallel. So using that music in the same way makes sense, even though like if you're not looking at it from that perspective, it just seems kind of out of place.
Yeah, my probably, I don't know if this is my biggest negative, but it might be, is like with Whiplash, I feel the ending is very abrupt, and I just wish I had a more solid idea of what I can expect to be happening, after the movie. Specifically, I want to know, is Art going to leave Zendaya now?
Yeah, I think I would agree with you on like the ending being more too rushed on this film more than Whiplash. This is definitely one where I would have liked to see more of an aftermath to the events of the film. Especially, I just fucking hate Zendaya. Oh my god. That scene where she comes back after fucking that dude. She sees her husband laying in bed with her daughter. Oh my god. I just wanted Zeus himself to strike her down in that moment.
Oh my god.
Real.
I do agree with you guys. I think that's probably one of my biggest detractors is just the ending of the movie. Mostly it's because of the motivations of whatever fucking Zendaya's actor or character's name is. I can't remember. Because at the very start, she specifically says that she's not a homewrecker, and you can kind of, and then also we of course have that talk with her and the fucking meth addict in the car where he's like, I know I'm a piece of shit, but at least I'm cognizant of it, whereas you are a fucking terrible person, but you just don't know it. So I'm like, they kind of portray her as like some like big mastermind, like this is all she wanted was to see this crazy tennis game in the end. That was her big end goal or something. But also like I don't know if she is cognizant of doing that or something, or this is all just like a result of her inadvertent actions. I don't know. I'm just not like super sold on her motivations, I think, as a character.
Personally, from reading the movie description, I did go into it thinking like, okay, yeah, she's like a mastermind and she's like doing this shit to set them both up to like, improve as tennis players. But then when I'm actually watching the movie, I'm like, nah, I think she just kind of sucks and
she's
is
just
making a lot of mistakes.
Person.
Yeah, exactly. I think I do kind of lean more in that direction where it's like she's just a bad person. She hasn't really seemed to know what she wants in life. She just wants to see a good tennis match, I guess.
Well, to say that she doesn't know what she wants in life isn't fully truthful. I feel like her motivations throughout the movie were very clear. All that mattered in her life was tennis, and she made that clear at the beginning. And since that dream got taken away from her at such a young age, she got it by proxy through her next best means, which I think Jackson was explaining, living it vicariously through art. So all she cares about is the closest person she can have in her life winning tennis, and whether that be through art or whatever the fuck the other guy's name is, she just wants somebody that she is personally involved with to be winning at tennis, because that's all she ever wanted in her life. So you could view it as kind of like a selfish personal gain on her part, because, she just wants something that she can't have, which could also just be the overarching idea with this movie. She wants something she can't have, and she acknowledged, like we said in the beginning, she's a homewrecker. And the dudes are like, oh, we don't care about that. But very clearly, it resolves in the very end. She was playing both sides of it, whether she was doing it consciously or not. And, like, I think, I'm gonna be real, I was mulling over, and I'm pretty sure this movie got me in my feels a lot more than it should have. I was definitely judging this movie based off of my feelings and emotions, and that's a fucked way to judge this movie. So, spoiler alert, I will be raising my ranking. I'm still deciding that. But, I do think Zendaya was, like, a ginormous piece of shit throughout this whole thing. I was very morally opposed to everything she was doing and everything that was going on. I think there's a lot of unresolved issues just personally with the character, like interpersonal character stuff going on, which, is just good script writing, so I can't, knock it for that. There were the whole, like, tennis balls being CGI and the whole tennis ball shot, it's whatever, these people probably haven't played tennis in their life, so that's probably something I can look past anyway. But, yeah, I'd say the only, like, true negative thing I had was, like, at the end, when it's, like, our perspective was we are the tennis ball. I didn't get that. That wasn't very appealing to me. It made me very motion sick. I don't know why they made that choice.
It's just because it's a fucking tennis match and they wanted to make it more interesting visually.
Yeah.
I thought it was unfortunate they had to do that to, boost the engagement with the movie. That's at least how I viewed it, but
I thought
I
it was
disagree
cool.
with you there. I thought it was cool. Going back to Tashi's character, I actually walked away from it thinking that, like, she actually doesn't care about anything anymore. The whole, like, wanting to live through art, like, she thought that would help her feel better about what she lost, but it doesn't. And so now she's just kind of doing whatever her whims in the moment happen to be, because she's kind of just given up on she's given up on like making a plan for what her life is gonna be. What else was I gonna say? This isn't like a criticism or anything. It's just a question, I suppose. So, when Tashi is talking to Patrick, she's like, "Oh, why are you pretending to be like a homeless person? Go back to your rich family or whatever." And that's based on that conversation they have when they first meet, where he's like, "Yeah, my place is way bigger than this one." I interpreted that as a joke, and he actually is from like a broke family or something. What did you guys
No,
walk
I just
away
assume
one way or the other with that?
They're all fucking really wealthy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I figured
They're
it
going
was
to a
kind
big
of.
school to play tennis. They definitely have a step up in life from us plebeians.
Yeah, I definitely think
True.
it might have been one of those moments where he's a character that's out to make a name for himself, and he doesn't want to have association with his parents in that regard. He wants to forge his own path, as it were.
He just might have a lot of pride, yeah.
Yeah,
that.
exactly. He doesn't want to feel like he's crawling back home so they can say, "I told you so. You thought you could make it as a big tennis pro, but no, look at you. Just coming back to daddy's bosom yet again."
Yeah, I will say, while for perhaps obvious reasons we're shitting on Zendaya's character more, I don't think anyone in this movie comes out very clean at the end.
No.
I mean, it's
Even with
like
Patrick.
fucking Artie or whatever the fuck his name is. Like, what does he do wrong here? Aside from, like, trying to get with his best friend's girl.
Yeah, and also like he kind of treats his friend like shit in the sauna.
Yeah, at some
Like,
point.
he comes across like a real hoity dickhead.
Yeah, I would agree. At some point, everybody has some, like, low moment. His just happens to not be at the end. Zendaya's happens to be all throughout the movie, and then Patrick's happens to be the end of the movie, so everybody has their moment in
Yeah.
the sun, as it were.
Patrick was so close to being like the only redeemable character here. I actually, when he first said no, fuck you, I was like, dude, he's so cool. And then you did it. Well.
And then it cuts
Yeah.
back to him also fucking her like 5 years ago as well.
True.
Yeah.
Right before that part.
Yeah. Damn,
Yeah.
this movie.
But, at least he has a big dick or something.
True.
Of course.
I like the idea that a girl, like, during a breakup, to kind of, like, justify it, does pull that line out. You don't need me around. You got a big dick, guy. You animal. We don't need you. Don't you say I don't love you anymore. You big duck. Anyway, do we have anything else to say about this film?
No.
I don't think so. I'm sticking at my A.
I'm sticking at my A-.
Is that me next?
You're the only one.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
No one did.
Yeah, it can't escape this void. I'll throw it in the B+ pile.
Whoa.
Okay. And that lands it at an A- overall.
Whoa.
Unsurprisingly,
Nice.
it's the best movie we watched this week. It's not even fucking close.
True.
True.